Okay, just going to quickly talk about the front and rear spoiler on the Buick GSX and the stripe packages, but we'll start off with the front spoiler. And so tell us about its location, Ron.
Well, we had the original design was to have the spoiler attached to the bottom of the front bumper. That worked really well, but it wouldn't meet the requirements GM had for ramp angle, so you couldn't pull into your driveway if you had a steep angle on the ramp into your driveway. So I had to move the spoiler back near the tires. That didn't work at all because air was still funneling up behind the bumper and to the radiator into the engine compartment. So that was still creating lift. I put a horizontal baffle in between the bumper and the spoiler, and that eliminated that path for the air to go through the engine compartment. That worked fine.
So we don't actually have one of the baffles in this car, but it would have been right in this area here right then.
Correct.
Basically it would have just blocked off this opening between the bumper and the core support.
Right.
So that kept air from coming up in through the radiator into the engine compartment
and causing lift.
Right.
That's correct.
And so then the rear spoiler. Tell us about the rear spoiler really quick.
The original design that I had was it was a ducktail back here like the Chevrolet Camaro. GM Styling didn't like that. They thought it was too boy racierish, so they wanted something a little more sophisticated. So they came up with a wing type spoiler. The chief engineer took me down to styling and wanted to know my thoughts on it, whether we should do that or not. And I said, fine, it looks good, as long as I can set the angle of attack and make it functional. I want it to work, and he agreed with that. So we went with their design, but I set the angle of attack, and it worked. I'd say worked as well as I recall as the ducktail did. But it looked a little more sophisticated, and they were happy with that, so that's where we went.
And so it was functional in that it didn't necessarily provide more downforce, it just
provided more downforce, but overall the car didn't
want to have as much lift.
It didn't push it down, it prevented it from lifting.
Prevented it from lifting.
Right.
So the spoilers, they look great, but they're also functional.
They are functional, yes. The only ones that I knew of at the time that were functional.
And this was to compete directly with the Oldsmobile 442.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, last but not least, probably one of the most hotly debated subjects of the Buick GSX, the stripe package. So, for the record, what is the hood and stripe supposed to be on a 1970 Buick GSX?
Side stripe is 100% gloss, just like the yellow body, the Saturn yellow body. The hood stripe is not, because it's too reflective, distracts you. So we went with a 20% gloss, or 20-degree gloss. So the paint code for the side stripes is 848. The paint code for the hood is 848, but in front of the 848 is A20W.
W20A dash
W20A dash 848.
848.
So, in short, the side stripes are glossy and the hood is flat.
And every car that came out of the factory was
that way.
Yes.
None of them were painted with the flat side stripes.
Yeah, so if a car has a flat or satin side stripe, that is incorrect.
It is probably the way the people that own the car like it, but it's not correct.
Cool. Now, how did the flat hood come to be? Tell me that story real quick. Because I know sometimes people ask, well, why is it different? Why did you change just the hood when you could have had a black car that was all black?
Right. Well, as I said, I pulled out of the Buick garage in Flint on a day in December or January that was unusual because it was sunny. It's usually cloudy. So that sun hit the hood stripe, the black, and was reflected into my eye. I didn't like that because I thought it should not do that. It ought to be more like a Phantom Jet where they had the black flat in front of the cockpit. So we suggested that this be flat black. They made it 20% black, which was almost flat but not quite. A little bit of gloss, but that's how we came up with it.
Well, there you have it, folks. Thank you, Ron.